Give me 8 minutes and I will make you a great chess player. Hey, don't look at the progress bar. Look at the board. Lesson number 1, control your greed. You see this position? It's great for white. The bishop on b5 pins the rook to the king. The bishop on g5 pins the knight to the queen. The queen is on c3, and the rook attacks the opponent's rook. Now you are probably greedy, and the first thing that popped into your mind is to take the rook with your bishop. Then obviously queen takes, and you take with the rook. Okay, cool. While we are at it, let's exchange the bishop for the knight. Now we end up in this sad state where black has 2 pieces and you just have the queen. You are still winning, but greed blinded you. Let's go back. The c3 queen is not doing anything. But what if it did? Like maybe check the king. What is the rook gonna do? Move? No, the black queen instead will be forced to move. Oh, look at that. The double pin turned into a triple pin with now the white queen pinning the other queen to the king. Good news? Now you can get greedy. Bishop takes d7, black is forced to take with the knight. That leaves the queen exposed to our g5 bishop. You know what's next. Checkmate with queen d8. Good job. You learned to not be greedy. Lesson number 2, force the attack. Look at this board. White to play and the white king is in the corner. Usually that means trouble, but sometimes things seem worse than they are. OMG, the black queen will go g3 and mate us. Not really, but it sounds bad, and it can only happen if we let them control the attack. Instead, we take control with bishop to e3, targeting the queen. Now the black queen moves to g3, hoping to get on that h2 square, but that is never happening with our bishop to g1. The best part about this is we force the attack, and as a bonus, the pawn on b6 also feels a bit safer. Lesson number 3, get the family together. Sometimes positions are complex like this one here. Our bishop is pinned to the queen, and that might not seem important when our queen is threatened by the g6 pawn, but the rooks here make a difference in controlling the side of the board, which means the queen kinda pins the enemy king. Oh, so you can just go rook to g6 taking the pawn? No, silly, because black then can go rook e5 and you are in a huge mess. The solution is to bring the family together. This d2 bishop is doing nothing. You don't want to leave a family member left out, so you put him on h6. This move not only activates a piece, but if black takes the queen, we have mate with double bishops. Hold on, this game is not over. What if the opponent goes queen e8, and then the rook and the bishop get exchanged, making the current position perfect for lesson number 4, the bait game. The queen obviously has to move now. Our previous rook strategy is useless since the queen pins our g2 rook to the king. So where do we move the queen? If you thought g5 or h3, congratulations to your opponent for finding a passive player. No, we instead go queen e2. With this move, we are doing 2 things. We are baiting the opponent into making a mistake, but at the same time controlling the game. If queen takes, we first take the bishop checking the king, forcing the opponent to take, and then we take the queen. Then this game is as good as over. But a good opponent will probably not do that. Maybe they will go to d5 maintaining the pin, but at this point you are ready for lesson number 5. Exchange pieces while you are up. As the name suggests, exchange pieces when you have an advantage. In our case, we have one more rook than the opponent, so the solution is simple. Exchange the bishops and find a way to exchange everything else. A bit later into the game, we end up in this position. How can we force the opponent to exchange pieces? Simple. We put pressure on the king. A good way to do that is to maybe activate one of our rooks, like going to b2 with the plan of going rook b7. The black queen doesn't want that to happen, so it goes to d7 blocking the path. Now we still want to go to that b7 square, so we place our queen to h8 to cover that square. Black, of course, doesn't want the queen to be pinned to the king, so it goes back. However, our plan is to exchange pieces, so we still go to b7. Let me tell you, the black king is probably sweating having a rook there while being so exposed. So, there are only 2 ways this can go. First, the blunder. If you want to avoid exchanges so much, there is a good chance you might just get mated, and that happens if queen moves to c8. Because then white has queen to f6, which then allows mate to g7. The other option is just accepting that pieces are going to be exchanged, which is why black goes e6, which allows us to do a queen check, forcing black to exchange. Now there is a hidden way to win this without exchanging your queen, but I will leave that up to you to find out. Lesson number 6, understand weak links. Look at this position. Can you understand which piece is the weak spot in black's position? The black knight and the bishop are protected by the pawn, which is protected by the king. Let's analyze a bit. The king can move one square at a time, and he is protecting two pawns close to each other. That seems okay to me, but when you look at the pawn, he's protecting two pieces, and if that pawn were to move at all, at least one piece would lose protection. Great, we found the weak link. Now it's time to attack. First, we take the knight with the bishop. Now if the opponent takes with the pawn, black then loses protection for the bishop, allowing us to take it with our rook. Okay, this was simple. Let's do a harder test. Find the weak link here. If you are having trouble, it's alright. There are a lot of pieces here, and sometimes finding the weak links is actually very hard. But I always like to start with the idea of analyzing the king's defenses. Here, the king is protecting the rook and the pawn, but they are away from each other, meaning the only way for the king to protect them both is if the king is on e7 or e8. To me, that sounds like a weak link, so we go rook takes pawn at f7. Obviously, the opponent has to take it, and then we take the rook with our queen. The king is now in the open, and that means it's hunting season. Lesson number 7, in-between moves. This is one of my favorite chess tips I can give to beginners because it makes you feel like a genius. Take a look at this position. Clearly, the white bishop has taken your knight. Your immediate thought as a beginner is to take the bishop with the rook, but what if I told you that you can do something much better? You can leave the bishop alone. Yes, that is right. We instead focus on something more precious, g-knight to d5. Do you see why that is such a strong move? Here, let's show the knight's possible moves. It covers two important squares, f3, which would fork both the king and the queen, effectively ending the game early. But another square is the f4 square. If white wanted to cover the e3 square, it would have to go to f4, which the knight absolutely is ready for. So instead of all that mess happening, white decided to move the king, and then we take the hanging bishop. What we did is called in-between moves, which means we made a bigger threat than the opponent instead of playing the expected move, and we got rewarded for it, whether it is material or the pace of the game. Alright, this is the end of the lessons. Oh, what is this? Another video that can help you in your chess journey? I would definitely watch that if I were you, and maybe also subscribe for more bangers. Bye for now.